Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I'd be able to send videos like this to your inbox as soon as tomorrow morning. If you like this watch, you can buy it on the watchbox.com. Buy, trade, and sell luxury watches 24 hours a day and globally on the watchbox.com. Now, the watch on my wrist is a rarity, not just in the States, but even in its native Japan, and in a way, it is a native of the Japanese islands. This was a 400-piece Japanese domestic market limited edition, a truly special watch, a rare instance of display caseback and a blue nacre mother-of-pearl dial on a Breitling Chronomat. This is the Breitling Chronomat 44 Japan limited edition of 400 pieces. In stainless steel, this is one for the old guard, even as Georges Kern has begun to rewrite the script and the product plan at Breitling. Some of the older models still express design language that has wide embrace in the existing community of Breitling collectors. So this is one for the traditionalist, and by that I mean the 1983 Breitling to roughly 2017 Breitling traditionalist. 44 millimeters across the round of the case, not including crown guards, crown, or pushers. It's a thick watch, as all of these traditionalist Breitlings are. 17 millimeters thick. This one's not sliding underneath any dress cuff. Jackets, you takes your chances. Lug to lug, it's big, it's bold. This one is 54 millimeters lug to lug, and if you add the solid end links of the bracelet, it flares not as much as you might expect, but it flares a little bit to 55 millimeters across the wrist. So extremity to extremity, expect 55 millimeters. And now if you do want to put it on a strap and perhaps scale it down a little bit, you're going to find that this one uses conventional spring bars, and the timepiece has a wonderfully comfortable Pilot 5-link bracelet that I recommend you keep because it looks good, it's nicely integrated to the style, it's substantial, and it has wonderful ergonomics about it. With the small individual links, it wears with a more silken, supple feel than something like a 3-link Rolex Oyster. We're generally used to seeing these big, brutal links on sports watch bracelets, especially on big, brutal sports watches like this. This one's not like that at all. You'll note the huge gaps between the links allow the wrist to aerate on a hot day, and these gaps also help prevent pulling of skin, pulling of hair, or any kind of ergonomic inconvenience of any kind. You'll note that sizing is done with screws, and the screws themselves are nicely polished on their heads. The clasp is a single fold, polished internally with a clamshell action, and you'll see the old style Breitling winged logo in the clamshell lock. Nicely made. You can see that there are a few internal adjustment, let's see if we can show them, a few internal adjustment slots if you want to micrometrically size beyond removing links. Now, jumping back to the case, you'll see Breitling doesn't use the typical conforming end link profiles that you often see on Omega and Rolex watches, which is one of the reasons that these end links only add a millimeter to the lug-to-lug span. All of high polish. This one has a Bentley sensibility, even though it's not from the Breitling for Bentley range. Simple, though I will admit, more curvaceously arced and sculpted than a Rolex Super Case. It's massive, it's impressive, it's all glossy and gleaming, and in steel, it's also a highly rugged base metal, so it's likely to resolve and retain that shiny finish over time. I found Breitling cases to be exceptionally resilient. Not so much perhaps a quality of the steel used, maybe the way the cases are made. I also know that when you try to put one of these through a water test, oftentimes the cases, including sapphire, are so incompressible they can't be tested with a standard test profile. You have to use an incompressible case profile in general on a Breitling and a water tester. The bezel will be familiar to modern Breitling fans. You can see it's a captured bezel, fixed in place by screws laterally. Those are all functional. They hold the bezel to the case, and you can see the inboard chimney, which is the metal ring separating the bezel from the sapphire as a buffer against shock. This is a very sturdy bezel design. Rather than being snapped on, it's held on by screws. It'll take your watchmaker a bit more time to dismantle it, but unlike an Omega or a Rolex, it can't simply pop off. Now, it is a digital style, modern era Breitling Chronomat unidirectional rotating bezel. So the rider tabs are still here, but you'll note that the rider tabs have been pared down a little bit. Nevertheless, the grip remains excellent. easy to read. Line up the luminescent pip with the minute hand. Now you can time something concurrently with the operation of the chronograph. Of course, the chronograph only gives you a 30-minute register, so having a 60-minute dive-style bezel on a chronograph still makes a lot of sense. If you want to measure something 45 minutes in duration, this is just what the doctor ordered. Now you'll also note that because it is unidirectional, the watch has screw-down crowns, a constant seconds indicator, and a 200-meter water resistance rating. This one's suitable for light-duty diving. Though an aviation-intended chronograph, it has immense versatility. Now I'm going to give us a bit more light because this dial has a wonderful blue mother-of-pearl reflective quality and also a refractive quality. As you can see, it's blue-gray dominant, but there's a huge wave of Roy G. Biv colors radiating off this one. There are undertones of almost everything from green to violet that you can see in that mother of pearl. It has a wonderful prismatic quality. All of the indices are applied, faceted, and diamond polished, so the legibility factor is very high. You will note that there is a hidden tachymeter scale that's inboard of the chimney, and you can use that for gauging the speed of an object in conjunction with the chronograph. You'll also note that there is a scale written outboard that can be used for more precisely gauging increments of time when reading the chronograph to 1/8 of a second. And thanks to the caliber B01, which in a rare instance of sapphire display grace, this Breitling allows us to view and enjoy, you'll see automatic winding, bidirectional action, 70-hour power reserve. It beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and we may as well unscrew the crown to cycle the column wheel function selector. You can see the column wheel, you can see the levers and horns of the automatic in-house 47 jewel B01 caliber. Now I should mention that the column wheel is very crisp. The B01 has one of the best chronograph pusher feels at any price in the industry. It also features a vertical clutch, so you'll note when the chronograph stops and starts, it does so without any jump or stagger. And when you reset to 0, it resets precisely because it does not have any teeth as a lateral clutch does. This is simply a coupling, much like top hat cymbals in music. If you can imagine top hat cymbals where one is turning, then they slam together in an instant and both are turning, that's how a vertical clutch works. And because the vertical clutch has no additional teeth meshing, you can leave it running at center seconds to match minutes and hours. Just ignore the sub-seconds, ignore the hours and minutes of the chronograph. Leave your chronograph running if you prefer seconds at center. Thanks to the vertical clutch, there is no additional hazard. There's a quick set for cycling the date, hacking or stop seconds for synchronizing the watch to a reference time, and it is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer, so the movement is both handsome and exceptionally precise. You can see this Breitling Japanese domestic market limited edition of 400 pieces in stainless steel from the Chronomat 44 family, one more for the old guard, on the watch box. And we're back with the Breitling Chronomat 44 Japanese domestic market limited edition. You lose some of that mother of pearl luminescence when the lights go down, but you gain the ability to see the watch's gloriously green glow. You'll note chronograph seconds remains visible for your reference, and the luminescent pearl on the bezel is absolutely volcanic. You can see this thing from a mile away. I'll also mention, if you listen up, this bezel has one of the best micrometric ratcheting feels I have ever experienced. It's almost like a Grand Seiko refinement, but with the sharpness of a Panerai Luminor submersible. It defies description, but it's one of the best kept secrets of the Chronomat line. You can see this one by the light of day on the watch box.